Hello everyone, this is my first teaching memo / video as session 1 has ended and session 2 has begun. The Red Sox continue to have the best record in baseball, but Tom Brady has tasted defeat already. Could he be acting his age? I want to invite everyone to look at my assessment Facebook page. If you want to stay connected with me, you can like it, and occasionally you'll receive assessment-related posts throughout the year. I'm going to click on that right now. If you look at the written version of this teaching memo, you'll be able to click on all the links. Otherwise, you won't be able to get to them. So you can see there's my. It says EDSE 640 because that's what it used to be called, and I have no idea how to change. Enough of that nonsense. So that is my EDSN 640 page, and you're welcome to like it, or you're welcome not to like it. But it's one way to stay in connection to me throughout your career. I always start my teaching memos with housekeeping, and of course it gets smaller and smaller as you all get used to using Blackboard and being comfortable with it. This video will be in 2 parts. I do the teaching memo post where I do housekeeping, and then I talk about the previous session, and then that's it. That will be in the announcement page. The second video will be talking about assignments for next session. So there'll be 2 videos, and you'll find this video. It will be in the course. It'll be in the learning activities assignments. You can see it's there already. There are two sections to the teaching memo post. All right. By this time, you should, as I mentioned in the mid-session teaching memo, and as I mentioned in my remind memo, you should have completed 4 assignments located in coursework by week, session 1 assignments, or learning activities assignments. The academic integrity statement and memorandum of understanding. Several of you have not done that yet. I don't know why you skipped right over it, but it can be found. I believe it can be found, unless I moved it, in the Getting Started link on the left-hand side. There it is. Memorandum of Understanding, Ontario College and University System Academic Integrity Statement. Those are very simple. It's just a technicality that the college wants you to take to ensure you don't, 1, cheat or do anything else illegal. So they will get sued. All right, so make sure you do those first. The initial baseline survey. You should have done that before you looked at any material in the course. If you haven't done it yet and you have looked at material, that's okay. Just go back and do the best you can. You don't have to cite material or have a reference list, and it's just pass-fail. So if you take it, you're going to get credit for it. Upload your initial post, and then cut and paste it in the discussion board. So there are two things you have to do with your initial post. Here's where you upload your initial post. You click on it, and then you upload it as a Word document. You do not cut and paste it, because I can't make comments on it. So you browse my computer, find it, and then upload it as a Word document or as a PDF file. And or you can see what kind of files it takes. It doesn't take pages, so don't do that. Do not cut and paste it in this text box. However, when you submit it in the discussion board, you do cut and paste it. So your initial post goes in 2 different places. It goes, you upload it to be checked by SafeAssign, and I will also make comments on it, on your APA. That's the only thing I'm going to do, is make comments on your APA, so make sure you go back and check that. You'll just see a check mark in your grade, for your grade, but I have made comments. So make sure you check those out, because if you're still making those same mistakes later on, you're going to start losing credit. So live and learn. Okay, then you're going to click on the discussion board, go into your group, and if you don't know what group you're in, click on the discussion link on the left-hand side, and you'll see what group, you'll see the groups that you're in. Also, if you don't know about the rubric, if you don't want to watch that video, you have to go into here where it says all grading rubrics right here, and you will see all the rubrics that I use, starting off with the baseline survey and then the discussion board rubric. You'll see that there are several levels of quality here. There are 5 levels of quality, and there are 5 different types of quality. So make sure you look at that if you haven't already. All right. Of course, there's also an optional discussion board. Most of you have done that. You should share a picture, and you should also go into your personal information and add an avatar. And I've explained how to do that. I'm not going to do it again. And lastly, there's still some of you who haven't responded to my welcome memo. So please go back to the announcement page, look at my welcome memo, or watch the welcome memo video, and then send me an email with the information that I have requested. Please. Some of you panicked when you submitted your baseline survey after the due date that I had placed in Grade Center. Please understand that I do not deduct points for late work. As you will see later in my course, when we do session 11, I believe, this is a practice that distorts achievement. And many of you believe in this. Many of you do this. You deduct points when kids hand in work late because you think, what will the rest of the kids care? 1 or 2 might, but most of them won't. They don't care what you get for a grade. They don't care that you handed in your work late and still got it right. I mean, what advantage are you getting by handing your work in late? So that is the thing. It's an ego-based grading practice that I don't use, you shouldn't use, but some of you won't be able to get through that ego by comparing what will other people think. That's what the ego does. It compares you with other people. You know, oh, he's going on vacation to Aruba. Geez, we got to go there. That's a crazy example, but that's how the ego works. And that's how the ego-based grading works. During each discussion board, I always add, or usually add, I can't promise I always will, but I will try to, what I call a teaching memo post. So if you scroll down to the bottom, you'll see my teaching memo post, which is optional. You don't have to respond to it, but it counts toward the rubric where you reference material. So if you respond to one of my posts, that counts in that category. Just a reminder that to receive maximum credit for timeliness, I've mentioned this before, your initial posting must be submitted within the first day of the discussion board is open. So that's well gone by. You should get on early. You know, that encourages people to get on early so we can have an opportunity to react to your comments. And in one of the sections, people didn't post for 2 weeks. And so I got an anxious email from one of the students, and it says, Dr. Tom, I have nobody to respond to. So make sure you get on there early. It'll give you more points in that rubric character, and people will be able to interact earlier. It's also, if you post within the first 7 days, you can still get an A. So if this session starts today on Monday, if you post by next Sunday, you'll still get an A in that category. So You won't be able to complain. I did that because people complain, Dr. Tom, I have 2 jobs. I don't get to work until the weekend. And I understand that. I went through my doctoral program as a high school principal. So I was working 11-hour days, 12-hour days, and still taking two classes not online, but live, and doing doctoral work. So I understand how it is to work and have to do this, but that is a choice we all make. And so you have to get involved early, and you have to force yourself to do it. So in responsiveness, there's also the characteristic of responsiveness, where you need to cite the text. If I make a presentation, you can cite that. You can respond to my posts, or you can use a relevant website. And I say relevant because people have shared stuff that have nothing to do with the topic of the session. So we're talking about assessment literacy, which is pretty broad. Anything to do with assessment is fair game in this discussion board. So it has to do with that. So many of you have not cited anything in your responses, and it's just, I love what you said, I love your post. That's great, but it doesn't help enhance this discussion. The discussion board is created, I created them, so we can enhance and increase our knowledge about the topic. So bring in the textbook, bring in ancillary materials. Some of you have already mentioned the Eddie White article, which is fairly long, but it's got some good stuff in it. So keep that in mind. That you in four out of your 5 response posts, if you're only doing 6 total posts, 4 of those have to be cite the text, my presentation, respond to me, or a relevant website. So keep that in mind. Lastly, when you share a reference that contains a website, use the link icon, and I'll show you how to do that. If you go in, so I'm going to edit my post here. You can see that my links are live. You can see that they're either in red or blue. Red means I've clicked on it, or somebody's clicked on it. So what you do is you highlight it, and you have to have the URL, and you click on this link icon, and then you cut and paste. You'll see it's already in there. You cut and paste it in this text box, and then, important, is you open it in a new window. If you don't open it in a new window, it'll take you out of your Blackboard page, so you'll have to go backwards to get to it, and that can screw you up. And you can also put in the title if you so desire. Excuse me. That means when you hover over it, you'll see it comes up. The title comes up. So that's how you add a link. If you want to add a picture, as you'll see I did here on my teaching memo post, and there's my teaching memo post. It just jazzes it up a little, makes it more attractive. People might reply to it. So you can add pictures to your post as well. So I believe that is all I have for this session, or for the for this part of my teaching memo, the housekeeping part. There's some big ideas. This is the second part of my teaching memo post. This first session and its discussion board were meant to get your feet wet regarding assessment, what's good, what's bad, what may be, and how we may be able to use the process to increase student achievement. Many of the discussions centered around the appropriateness of large-scale accountability tests. This is what I expected. We will be exploring how these are made and how they compare with teacher-made tests, which, by the way, no one seems to mind. Keep an open mind. Just because you did not do well on them does not mean they are worthless. Many of you wrote about formative assessment. Excellent. Which according to Black and Willem, is one of the most powerful interventions that a teacher can use to improve academic achievement. So, if you plan on being assessment literate, this is the way to go. Please look at additional course materials and download the article there on formative assessment. So I'm going to take you there right now. On the left, you'll see additional course materials right down here on the left. Click on that and you'll see a lot of good stuff. I have activators and summarizers, the CST Disabilities Guide, I believe that's New York State. New teacher resources for all you new teachers, differentiating instruction, a whole bunch of stuff in there, EdTPA, special ed material. This is the one, these two PDF files, 60 formative assessments, 53 ways to check for understandings. Think about that. How many different ways can you do that? So just click on it and it'll open up and you can download it. This file here. There are 50 or 60 3-minute pause, quizzes, journal entries, summary, for oral questioning, all good stuff. Resources for formative assessment. There's another one. Early childhood assessment. I've mentioned this in each class on the discussion board. I'm looking to add to this. A lot of pre-K teachers in here. I think I only have like 4 or 5 links in here. I'm looking to create more. So I have more resources for early childhood. So I need your help in that. And I'm looking forward to you giving me more links. Remember, I am not the only teacher in these 3 course sections. All of you are teachers. The best way to become engaged in these discussion boards is by 1, answering the open-ended questions of your classmates. I hope they're open-ended. I hope you all know what open-ended questions are. They have no right or wrong answers. And then by sharing relevant websites to support those answers to your questions, or to my questions. Learning targets will be a big idea of this course. Having specific, measurable, and student-friendly goals is imperative to have students master the standards. In one section, I shared the SWABOT video, which shows a teacher sharing learning targets with her class. We will be revisiting this topic later in the course, but I would suggest checking out the video now. You can click on the link, Control-click, in my teaching memo, the written part. As I just mentioned, many of you are pre-K or assistant teachers. I don't spend a great deal of time on that, as I mentioned. I have already done that in sections. I shared an article on early childhood assessment and asking students to compare it to what they do in the classroom, to what they do in their classroom. If you are a teacher of young children, it would be a good thing to look it over. Again, click on the link in my written teaching memo. So that's it for this week. I'll be back with another teaching memo next Monday. By the way, this session does not end till October 7th. I'm going to write that now. So you have 3 weeks to get all this done. You may even want to go ahead and look at session 3 because you have there's a lot of time, and there's only really one assignment due besides the discussion board is the quiz. So keep that in mind. See you in a week.